Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are going to completely flip how you think about achieving success. We're diving into the massive bestseller, The Go-Giver by Bob Burg and John David Mann. We hear the phrase go-getter all the time in our society, right? Usually it's meant as a huge compliment. But this book introduces a pretty radical paradigm shift. It's the idea that true success, like both financially and personally, actually comes from being a go-giver. It's all about redefining your life's purpose by focusing your time, your energy, and your focus on adding just incredible value to other people's lives.
So let's dive into this by asking a really provocative question that sits right at the absolute heart of this book. Are you a real go-getter? Seriously, think about it. Are you exhausting yourself, trying to hustle, constantly climbing that corporate ladder, pushing relentlessly for those sales targets, but you're somehow still falling short? Our culture pressures us with a ton of cynicism, basically telling us to always look out for number one. We're told that if we just push harder and focus entirely on our own goals, we'll eventually get what we want. But if you're doing all that and still feeling like something is missing, or you aren't quite as successful as you feel you should be, well, you are exactly the person this book is talking to.
You see, modern culture traps us in a very specific three-step sequence. It goes survive, save, and serve. Survive means meeting your absolute basic needs: food, water, shelter. Then you save, which, let's be honest, really just means upgrading those needs, right? Buying a bigger house, a fancier car, getting more toys. And finally, if there's absolutely anything left over, you serve by donating money or time. We are literally taught to take care of those first two and only ever think about the third one last. But the go-giver way, it flips this entirely upside down. It argues that the truly successful people in the world actually focus on serving others first, and that doing so naturally takes care of the surviving and the saving.
To really illustrate this, the book uses the story of a struggling, super ambitious go-getter named Joe. Now, Joe is working incredibly hard to meet his targets, but he is just getting nowhere. His entire journey changes, though, when he meets a highly successful businessman named Pinder. Pinder actually agrees to mentor Joe, but on one major condition. Joe has to learn a completely new way to live and work. Over the course of just 5 days, Pinder introduces Joe to 5 different, wildly successful people. And each person teaches Joe one specific, fundamental law of success. So let's walk through them, just like Joe did.
Section 1. The 5 core laws. Shifting your focus from getting to giving.
The very first principle Joe learns is the law of value. Basically, it dictates that you need to do more for people than they expect, completely without looking for a reward. And here's the kicker. You can't just do this as some sort of strategic calculation to win business. It doesn't work like that. You have to do it because you genuinely love to help and serve others. It's a massive, fundamental shift in your internal motivation. So the crucial point here is redefining your worth, not by the size of your paycheck, but by how much value you actually provide. The law of value dictates that your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Think about it. If you're charging a client a certain amount, the value they receive from you should drastically exceed that dollar amount. That gap between what you take and what you give, that is exactly where your true worth lives. But hey, let's be real for a second. You still need to pay your bills, right? That brings us to the law of compensation. While that first law is all about your underlying worth, this second law tackles the cold, hard financial reality of exactly how your income is determined. According to this law, your income is determined by exactly how many people you serve and how well you serve them. So if you want to increase your income, you must shift your singular focus towards serving a greater number of people. You basically have to scale your giving. You could be providing immense, life-changing value to one person, but your compensation is going to remain capped until you figure out how to extend that exceptional service to a much wider audience. Which leads us directly to the third law, the law of influence. Now this one completely challenges that standard issue corporate synergy advice we have all heard a million times. The concept of a win-win. The go-giver mindset argues that win-win still involves a really subtle form of keeping track of who gets what. If you want to build true influence, you have to throw away the scorecard. Just toss it. Your influence grows abundantly the moment you place the other person's interests first. You actively watch out for what other people need with absolute faith that your own interests will eventually be taken care of. You aren't helping them so they owe you a favor down the line. No, you put them first because that is exactly how you build a powerful, genuine network. Moving right along, the fourth law is the law of authenticity. This is such a vital reminder. No matter your prestigious education or your specific technical skills, your absolute most important commodity is yourself. You can't put on a mask just to please a client. The most valuable gift you have to offer the marketplace is simply you.
In fact, check this out. Any massive goal or accomplishment takes only about 10% specific knowledge or technical skills. Just 10%. The other massive 90%, that is purely your people skills. And you really can't have good people skills if you're faking who you are, right?
And then there's the final piece of the puzzle Joe learns from Pindar, the law of receptivity. Honestly, this is often the hardest law for people to grasp, especially for those who naturally want to help others. The key to effective giving is that you must also stay completely open to receiving.
Think of it like a giant ecosystem. You must have the humility to stay open to receiving, because doing so actually allows other people the opportunity to give. If you refuse to receive, you are literally shutting down someone else's chance to be a go-giver. By allowing others to give to you, you complete the entire cycle. It's like breathing. Breathing out requires breathing in. Giving requires receiving.
Okay, moving to Section 2, the cycle of abundance, the reality of the go-giver mindset.
So, what actually happened when Joe took a leap of faith and applied these laws? Well, under his old go-getter approach, he exhausted himself trying to force stores open and they stubbornly stayed closed. But when he shifted to the go-giver approach, just helping people without expecting an immediate return, doors he didn't even know existed began opening up naturally. And it led him to very quick, highly sustainable success. Now, I want to be super clear about the reality of this mindset. This isn't just a book about being a nice person while avoiding hard work. There are plenty of really nice people out there who struggle terribly with their finances. You absolutely still have to work exceptionally hard. You still have to learn, practice, and improve your craft. But the golden rule of business is that people naturally want to do business with and refer business to those they know, like, and trust. By changing your overall focus to giving, you build that trust instantly. Ultimately, you get out of life exactly what you focus on and expect.
This quote brilliantly summarizes the absolute core of this whole philosophy. Givers attract abundance. By following these 5 specific laws, creating massive value, authentically touching people's lives, and having the genuine humility to receive, you literally stop chasing wealth and instead become a magnet for it.
So, as we wrap up this book summary explainer, I want to leave you with a single incredibly powerful question. I challenge you to ask yourself this right before your very next interaction, whether it's a sales call, a meeting with a colleague, or even just dinner with your family. Stop focusing on what you can get out of the situation and instead ask, how can I improve this person's life in a positive way today? Seriously, try it. Apply the 5 laws and just watch how the doors of abundance start opening up for you. Thanks for joining me today. Keep learning, keep giving, and we'll see you in the next explainer.